Welcome to day number 3 for the From Our Field to Your Home video commercial. We are highlighting the product itself, which is going to be all of the produce on the table at the end, and also incorporating a little bit more than that, which is going to be the produce that is at somebody else's house. For day number 3, we only have a couple of shots. One will be the shot of the tomatoes, and then the same person at a table eating with the family, and then incorporating a dolly shot back of a dolly going back from basically seeing a table, rack focusing from people to the produce. And that's why I have some props, which we'll talk about here in a second. And what we're going to do, and I've taken some photos of this ahead of time to plan things out, is we are going to focus on a table at my grandma's house, and we're going to bring the camera back to reveal the produce that they cooked with to enjoy their meal. Hence the From Our Field to Your Home commercial. Location and props. Now we are emphasizing, the idea of from our field to your home, which is very important, and that's going to incorporate the farm element. So the location I chose was at the farm. Not only do I have basically unlimited access to it whenever I want, but it's also a great location. It has a great table and it has a farm feel, which ties well into the story. With the location, we have a lot of room to play with the lighting. There's a specific window off to the right, which I'm going to incorporate some CTB if I can. And then we're also going to show you how to add some edge light to the produce, really to make things stand out. So I'm very excited about that. Compared to in the studio, which we are filming that tonight at this point in time, I think it's going to be a lot easier to really show off the product. And that final shot is very important. Also for the location, we have a good kitchen area where we can get that close-up shot of the person cooking and the individual as well, mixing around some tomatoes. All of that is going to encompass the idea of a farm feel and also the idea of from our field to your home. For the props, we already have chairs, a table. We have things looking the way I think they should look. For our talent's clothing, I want it to be somewhat casual, perhaps some yellow for the female. And if we can get a kid, we get a kid. If not, we don't. We do not have the characters locked in yet. I had 2 people that were going to do it, then they backed out. But this is the reality of things. And I can't have people that are related to Bouchard Gardens because that takes away from the idea of from our field to your home. Bouchard Gardens is the produce, and now we're bringing the produce to somebody's home who purchased it and who's enjoying the food. I'm also dealing with COVID. Being in Canada, it makes it a little more challenging to get people in a house as well. We have the vaccination, all those things as well. For the props, we also have a quick Walmart purchase that I made, so hopefully we will be able to incorporate this. I like the colors of the red, and then I'm probably going to have a nice white bowl that has some of the produce, and we're going to line things up. It's going to be about composition. This is also a apron that I'm thinking maybe the female will wear, so she'll wear this, and then we're going to be seeing the same colors throughout the last couple shots as well. And I think it's just going to look nice, and I really like the pattern. It feels very farm-like. The only challenging aspect is probably going to be a little bit in the lighting department because we're not going to have a studio to work with. We're going to be on location. We have to have things there at least. So if we have to set things up, we will have to make do with what we have, and I'm going to have to pack a lot of things. For talent and timing, I would say that that's probably one of the more difficult parts of this particular shoot. I have to find a couple of actors who are fitting the role. I'm thinking 25 to 30, like a couple, probably male and female. And if they do have a kid, that would be nice too. I'm really looking for at least a couple or family vibe. The timing shouldn't be bad. I have access to the location. Always have a high standard when you're working on your video projects. Even if you're doing it for free or whatever the budget is, try to make the best project as possible. I'm creating a commercial that, Bouchard Gardens can use for their brand, for social media, to sell more produce at markets. That's the idea. I want to create something that I've never created before that just looks awesome because the video will live forever. That's going to be the talent and timing. Still trying to figure out some of those things, but things are looking pretty good. Gear prep and crew. Let's start off with the gear prep, and then we'll talk a little bit about crew here in a minute. For the gear, we're going to be using the Blackmagic again, and we're going to be staying on 60 frames per second 4K and 24 frames per second 4K. We're not looking to take away from what we're going to do in the studio. So for those product shots of the produce falling and hitting the soil, we want that to stand out. Don't overuse slow motion, and just don't overuse your powers all the time. You want to save that and use it where you think is best needed. So we have the Blackmagic. We're probably going to be on a 50mm lens or 28. It is great to have the 50 for a couple of the close-ups, maybe the one of the person or individual cooking. That would be really nice. That would suit well. For the camera movement, we're going to be static, so a tripod the whole time, and if not, a slider for the final shot. We're also going to be doing a tripod or a static shot without any movement. In case some of you that don't have a slider, I want to make sure that this fits anybody. Don't be afraid to lock things down on a tripod. You can do a digital zoom in post, which I'm going to do and show you in the Final Cut Pro editing, and then Phil Ebner is going to be doing a Premiere Pro editing of the entire project. So I'm curious to see what he comes up with as well. I also checked out the location, so I know that we could set the camera on the table and or have the slider on a table to get that shot that we need. So I'm very excited about that. And we don't need sound. So the whole project, no sound, that makes life that much easier as well. Except for the behind the scenes, which I'll have Tyler help me out with as well. Speaking of crew, we're gonna have Tyler and myself. I'm gonna be the one filming and directing, and then Tyler will be getting behind the scenes, so I'll be mic'd up, similar to the product shoot day. I'm very excited, still have to figure out a couple of things, but if we zoom out and look at our storyboard, things are coming along. We have day one filmed. At the end of tonight, we should have the product stuff filmed. So things are gonna look really good, and what you wanna do is try to achieve something better than last time. That's the goal. It's gonna be self-rewarding and self-fulfilling. Even if you've never done it before, my best advice is just to get out there and film something for free. You could go to a business today or tomorrow. You can call them up, send them an email, send them your reel, and just tell them, hey, I want to create something like this for you. Let me try. You may surprise yourself on how good you are and what you can create. That's why I created this course, so that anybody could take video production and push themselves to create stunning content. I'll be able to create something that will last longer than I do. It will live on the internet or whatever it is. So I'm very excited about that. That's all I have for you at this point. We will cut to the behind the scenes right now. So it's the night before, from our field to our home, day number 3. What we're gonna do tomorrow is have 2 people at a table, reveal some product, and then we're also going to be getting shot 15 and 16 with the salad. I'm not quite sure yet when we're gonna film the shots. Most likely we're gonna start off with the cooking shots, so tossing the salad and then the close-up. But again, if you have any changes to make them now before you get into filming. So that's all I wanna do. Make sure you go over your storyboard, your script, whatever it is you're working on. So we will see you in the next clip. So we have all of our batteries charged. We have 5 ready for tomorrow. That's gonna be more than enough. And again, it comes down to what you are planning on filming. For us, it's going to be day number 3 for our From Our Field to Your Home commercial. So I love using clipboards, and I will most likely be using this tomorrow on set, even though we only have a few shots. So that's what you want to do. Number 1, charge your batteries. For us, we were at our wall there at the charging station. Having a dedicated station to charge your batteries is very key. So next, what I like to do is lay out all of my equipment that I need for production on a table. So that's what we have here. We've got our batteries, we have some gaff tape, we have a couple props, we have a couple cameras. One I'm still using to capture B-roll for you all for behind the scenes, but it's very important to lay everything out. And also we do have a work page for you, and it's also in the workbook. But what I like to do is write down the night before and write down everything that I need. So think of this as when you're a pilot about to fly a plane, a huge responsibility is to make sure that you have every piece of gear. So if you're missing something before you walk on set, if you don't have things ready, it's because you did not plan properly. I know a lot of you will not have this kind of equipment, but even if you have a camera and batteries, which you should have at bare minimum, charge your equipment, format your cards. That should be number one. All of you can charge your batteries and have your camera ready on time. You should at least have a camera and a tripod at bare minimum, and maybe some extra batteries for your set. So charge that ahead of time. I always run into the case where people I hire or people I work with, they tend to not have their batteries charged. That could be fixed with having a dedicated station. Now you don't need a studio, but you could at least have a dedicated outlet, and you could try to get into the habit of charging your camera equipment. That would help you out a lot. So tomorrow when I go on set, you know, because I was planning at 1 a.m., which it is now, tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'll be ready. I will be planning and I'll be walking on set. Even though it's a small production, it's just myself and a couple of people, you know, we have everything planned out. So for example, on here, and we're gonna add these director's notes to the course in the work page so you can see what it is I do. And again, we do have a PDF worksheet for you that you can use as a guide. You can update that yourself. You can create whatever it is that fits your lifestyle the best. For me, I like to just get plain white pieces of paper, and I'm gonna add some pieces of gear that I know I need. Now, if this were an event like Saturday, I won't be writing this out as much because I only need a camera, a tripod, shoulder rig, and maybe a drone. It's a lot easier for that production shoot. If I'm filming here in the studio, it's much easier. But because tomorrow we're on location and things are a little more unpredictable, I want to teach you these tips and tricks that I've learned in terms of staging gear, etc. Okay? So, for example, we have our Blackmagic with 5 batteries. I have that ready to go. So what I'm going to do is check things off as I go. And then we also have a tripod. We have our Zeiss lens kit, which I have the case in the back. We'll talk about that in a minute. So based on these storyboards, which we've already finalized a couple days ago, we're going to aim to produce the best content we can. We're going to be filming in 4K as well. So number one, get all of your batteries charged, as many as you can as possible. We have enough to film for 15 hours. We won't need that. We're only going to need a couple hours. In fact, Tyler and his girlfriend, they're only available from 6 to 8. So it fits in our timeline. It will be dark enough for us to light the way I want to, and it's going to go really well. That's why I'm planning things. And again, every shoot's different. You may have a shoot where, you know, it's just one camera, one microphone. You don't even need lights. That may happen. But for this particular shoot, it's very meticulous. We need to have things organized, and prior planning prevents poor performance. So we have our charging station. 2 is the table, so lay things out. And then we'll move on to number 3, and that's going to be add all the equipment into bags or cases. So we'll see you in that clip. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add all of that equipment on the table or in the studio, and we're going to put it in these bags. Once we have the equipment in these bags or cases, then we're ready to go on to step number 4. But first, let's load up all of our equipment in bags, and then we can go on to the next step. So let's get that. We also have another microphone for backup. Don't be afraid to have backup equipment. If something fails, you're not going to have time to go back to a different location to pick up equipment. So if you have it on hand, just bring it with you. Typically what I like to do is I like to use this Pelican case for my batteries. So I know when I'm on set, and I'm going to show you when we're on set how I stage this equipment. Staging is basically when you find a location to put your equipment that's very accessible, that is out of the way of your shot. So that's going to be a big one for our shoot. So we're basically on location for our project. We're not going to be in the studio, but this bag is for batteries primarily and extra gear. This bag over here is going to be for all of my cameras and basically memory cards. And then I also have a lens case. So those are gonna be the three main cases that we're filling up. How many times have you been on set or been working on a project and you hear somebody, oh, I forgot to charge my battery. My camera's not charged, or I forgot my SD card. Double, triple check, check 5 times. Once you do that, then you can check things off, okay? So what we're gonna do in step 4 is triple check, and then we're gonna go into step 5, and that's going to be loading up the equipment in the vehicles or just having it ready for morning. The only other things that we have are lights, but of course we're gonna keep them on because I'm working till about 4 a.m., so it just doesn't make sense for me to pack up. But that's how I prep all of my equipment. One of the issues that we have for this shoot is that we only have about an hour and a half, 2 hours to film everything. So I'm gonna be very organized, have things planned out. Again, don't forget your extension cables, things like that. So I'm gonna make sure that I have all that. So that's all we have for you. We will see you in the next video. So we got everything packed up, and what I'm gonna do now is start packing up the vehicle for tomorrow. So we're gonna get some rest, and we will see you in tomorrow's videos. Welcome. It is about 3:24 p.m. right now, and we're gonna start our first shot in about 3 to 4 hours. We just got to the farm about 10 minutes ago. I started unloading some of the camera equipment. What I did too is I already set up a table. So the goal is for staging gear, which is step number 1. So you're gonna unload your camera equipment and begin staging your equipment. The goal is to put all of your equipment in one location, a central location that you can get access to, that's out of the shot, but very quick to get to. So when you need a piece of gear, when you have to swap out memory cards, swap out batteries, you are able to do so efficiently, effectively, and you're not messing around with the shot. The worst thing is when you're filming and you have a tripod or something like that in your shot. So we're gonna be conscious of that. It's also going to begin to get darker and darker. At about 6:30 p.m., it should be pretty dark. By 7, hopefully it's pitch black, and we can get our table shot and then the salad shot. So I'm gonna start bringing in some more equipment. Don't forget all of your extension cables. So we have tons of those. Somebody did not wrap this one up nice, but anyways, we'll see you inside. When I'm on set, when I'm filming, I grab this bag, and that's where I have all these different kind of clips. So these are very useful when you're filming. Okay, so this is where we're staging all of our camera equipment. We set up a table, and then on top of the table, we have our gear laid out. We also have these nice bags and Pelican cases, and what we're using them for primarily is not only to protect the gear, but it's got a central location for that piece of gear to be in. So we have charged batteries, and the fact that we have everything open, the lid's open, it's very easy to just pick a camera, pick a slider, pick any piece of equipment that we need. So it's very important. So what you want to do is take the equipment, put it in one central location. It is very close to where we're filming. It's about 10 feet away, 5-10 feet away. And then what we can also do is find an outlet that we can use to charge batteries. So no matter what, you don't even want to gamble on that. You want to make sure you have enough battery life when you are filming your project. So that's what we have. Our next step is going to be to finish setting up our shot. So we're starting to get there. Things are starting to roll. I can see that it's starting to get a little bit darker outside. We're gonna wait for that, but we're getting there. So I'm gonna start setting up the lights, and of course, don't forget, you're probably only gonna be doing 1 or 2 roles when you're working on your projects. Typically you would have a whole team, but I am teaching this today. So that's why it's taken me a long time to get things organized. I'm doing the set design, the cinematography, the lighting, so the gaffing, all those different roles I am taking on for this project. So that's all we have for you right now. We'll see you in the next clip. So what you're seeing right now is the table where we're gonna film. So earlier we set up our food on the table just to get things organized. So we know when the actors or talent come on set, we know exactly where to put the food. So for now we have the food in the fridge, but I know exactly where things are going to be placed. I know it should look pretty good on camera. Then from there we can tweak everything that we need. So
We also had a little bit of help, so we had Grandma come in here. She moved some things around, and I think it's starting to look pretty good. It looks like, you know, a great setting for somebody to be consuming the produce. So that's the goal, and it's all about setting things up ahead of time. So let's move on to the next clip. So what we're gonna do right now is just get the vegetables cleaned up. What I wanna do for the final shot compared to the previous days is I wanna have very clean produce on the table. So what we're gonna do is clean these up. I already started cleaning up a few. And then we're also going to make sure that we spray it with a bottle and we get the produce looking very fresh. So that's gonna be the main idea. And then also I'm gonna lay everything out. We still have a few hours till we begin our first shot, but we want to get everything planned out. So that's what I'm gonna do first. So right now we're adding some CTB to a light. So we're using some gaff tape, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this LED light and it's gonna shoot through the window, and that's going to replicate like moonlight. And the color temperature is gonna be at about probably 6,000 to 7,000. So because we're setting up our cameras at 5,500 Kelvin, that's going to allow this light to look blue. So we're gonna be playing with CTB, which is color temperature blue, and then color temperature orange, which is gonna be at the table. But our key lights for at the table for our talents, and then at the table for the produce, that's going to be 5,500. So all we're gonna do is add a little bit of tape. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, and again, we're only using a $50 light for this. We are going to rig up a light overhead of our talent. So again, you wanna use a C-stand and you wanna have your sandbags. And what we're doing is we're setting up the light so it's up and basically in front of this orange tungsten type of light. So what this is gonna do is when we set our camera to this color temperature, we're gonna have our chandelier look orange. Maybe a tint yellow, but that's fine. But this is going to give us a good color temperature for a shot. And again, you wanna use a C-stand because this is gonna be overhead of different people. And if this falls on somebody, well, that won't be good. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use some tape here. So what we'll do is just raise the light, but first we'll turn it on, see what it looks like. And our goal is to get as high as possible. So now when somebody's sitting down here, they'll get a good exposure. And then if we see the chandelier, we'll be able to match that for color temperature. All right, so what we're doing now, we have about a half hour until Tyler and Meg get here. So what we're gonna do is just get some things set up, just things on the table, get our composition aligned a little bit. I already found out already that the 50mm lens is gonna be too tight. So we're not gonna be able to show everything that I want. And it's just gonna work out a lot better with the 28. So we're gonna be filming in ProRes 422, and we're gonna be in light. So 422 light, 4K, and it's gonna look good. We already have our white balance set up. We're at ISO 400, 4K, 24 frames per second, and 48/1 for our shutter. So this is gonna look really nice, but let me just film right now, and then we can show you what we got so far. And again, if we add some composition lines, we will be able to see the table, which should be towards the middle of the table. So that's what I'm gonna line up right now. So this is pretty much where we have to be. We're gonna do a lot of center framing. We're gonna be somewhere about here. This is where I wanna end up with the camera. So we're basically gonna rack focus from the table to the produce. And then that's gonna be our shot. It's gonna look really nice. And then we also have that CTB coming from outside. So we will see you in the next video clip. Okay, so things are looking pretty good so far. I'm happy with the shot. Until they get here, it's hard to pinpoint all the final things that we have to do. But I'm having an issue with the lens here. So what we have to do is swap out the gear. So that's what I'm gonna do. Make sure you have flathead screwdrivers with you. Okay, so if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to take this off and change things. What we want to be able to do is pull focus while we get our shot. So there we go. And now we're just gonna tighten things on the bottom. So before they get here, we have our lighting set up, our camera positioned, and we'll be ready to go. All right, so the actors just got here. We're doing really good on time. We have our gear staged. We did that. We set up our camera. We got our shot. We know which lens we're gonna use. We have all of our lights set up. We even sprayed a bit of haze to see what it looks like. And things are getting incrementally better. We will see you in the next clip. So welcome to this part of the video. As you can see, we're using the Blackmagic with a 50mm prime lens. So we're aiming to blur out the background. So we're bouncing our key light and catching most of the face. So this is referred to as beauty lighting, and it gives a nice soft, nice look that wraps around the entire face. So it looks really nice. What's really important for this setup as well is we are utilizing our big soft boxes, which are very simple, very easy to use. And of course, we are also spraying quite a bit of haze. So as you can see, we're spraying haze, and we don't want it to be directly in front of the product. And even at the table, we don't want it right around the table. We want it in the background. So we're spraying it in the background, so when light travels through the haze, you have that nice cinematic effect. So you put it in front of your key light and also in front of your backlights. That's a good piece of advice. And Tyler's also using a blanket to help the reflections that we're having in some of the background as well. All right, Tyler, so we got our final shot. Tell them about what we did with the blanket there. And by the way, Tyler, he's acting and he's being an assistant.
Yeah, so when we're on set filming, we have to pay attention to many things. One of those things being the reflection in the glass over there. So we have the key light for the vegetables, so this way they're nice and bright, but the problem is that it was reflecting in the back glass. So what we want to do is make sure that we can kind of cut that light off from the back glass, but have that light for the key light for the vegetables. So we put up this blanket just kind of with a C-stand, attached it to the fridge, so that way what we can do is we can block that light out, and that way we are no longer having those reflections in the back glass over there.
So again, now that we have things set up, we can do different versions as well of our shots. So
Too much. Do you want water in this or something?
Oh my, we did not fill up the water, so I even have ice for that.
Oh, whatever, you can see there's ice in there. It could all be floating, you don't know.
Okay, so action, we're rolling on the shot. So we're gonna start with you two, then we're gonna go on to this frame, okay? So just enjoy your dinner.
No. You said we should come on?
No, I'm nervous.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either, actually.
You do.
I'm mad my clothes didn't come in.
Yeah, kind of sorry.
So what we're gonna do is let this shot roll. So again, if you don't have equipment like a slider, that's okay. Just get your shot set up and compose it the way you want with the perspective that you need, and you can get that as well. So even right now, what we can do is just rack focus, and if you don't have a follow focus, you could just do it manually. So that's what we're gonna do. So if you guys want, if you don't have something like a slider, just set things up on the table or on a tripod. It's fine because you can keep it static and rack focus manually. So you don't need a lot of equipment. Again, use a prime lens. If we had more room, I would have used the 50 at a 1.7, but we only had the ability to use a 28. So again, you want to prioritize the composition, and you also want to make sure that you have room to get your shot. So
I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes. Later on in the course, we're going to be showing you how to edit this project. So I hope you edit along with myself or Phil or both, whatever you want to do. Depends on which software you have. So we will see you in the next video.